You know what? I think that they learned something last night. They can hang with them. There's no question about it. They're fully healthy. The Celtics are essentially fully healthy, and the three-point shooting is the difference between these two teams, as we all know that. There's early on in this game, I just felt like the Knicks weren't really hitting a lot of shots. There were a lot of bricks being thrown up again because maybe it's because they're playing a much better team and something happens if they're shooting, especially early in these games. But I will say that now it comes down to just handling the crunch time minutes and not overreacting, not panicking, not firing a bullet pass to somebody who can't handle it. It's or fouling when you're supposed to foul and not fouling when you're not supposed to foul. I mean, there were so many little things the Knicks did wrong in crunch time, both in regulation and in overtime. And those things can be worked out. I think what we saw yesterday, and I really felt good about it, was I saw a really concerted effort by the Knicks, both on defense and offense, to really compete in this game. There were chances there for Boston to run away. There were a couple where you saw, like a 6-0 run or a 7-0 run. You're thinking, oh, here we go. But the Knicks were able to stem the tide and keep it tight. And I will say that I feel much better about the team after watching last night's game, even though in crunch time they made too many mistakes. And I think that when you watch a game like this and you're the Knicks, you come away with it. And I know it's not a win. It doesn't really mean much in the big picture of things. They're probably going to see each other in the second round of the playoffs. But I would be somewhat annoyed at my performance in crunch time, but knowing that I can hang with these guys. I just got to play better defensive basketball defending the three-point shot.
Yeah, I mean, but if Jason Tatum doesn't make the play that he makes and, completely fakes out OG Anunoby and then step back and then hits that three, when he does, we're talking about them being great in crunch time. We're talking about back-to-back possessions where they were great offensively with the OG Anunoby put back and then Jalen Brunson driving, finding Mikal Bridges in that situation, going up three as he hits that little jumper. So, I mean, then we're saying, hey, what a great win. But, of course, it didn't work out that way. And that's the thing I'm scared about is the fact that, they were more active defensively last night. There was no doubt about it. But I just don't think that they're going to be capable enough to slow down their three-point shooting.
Well, I mean,
for God's sake.
All right, so we're watching some of the highlights here in studio. I would call them lowlights because the amount of times that the Celtics, Porzingis in particular, are sitting out there by the three-point line, and there's nobody near him.
Well, that one that you saw there was that 30-something. I mean,
but there's a bunch of. I mean, it's token defense. It's not real defense, and maybe that's something you take away from this game. Then you're going to be more intense when the playoffs come, and it is going to take an all-in effort by everybody with a single mindset of just overcoming, 7-footers that can hit three-pointers from anywhere on the floor. And, they have stacked their roster. They got great players. And the Knicks do too. But can the Knicks somehow defend the three-point shot just a little bit better? Just a little bit better. I mean, it's impossible. If Porzingis is going to stand at the top of the key or at the top of the three-point arc, and there's not going to be anybody near him,
yeah, there was no one near him because they were like, go ahead and shoot that. You're basically on the logo. The rest of them, I don't think were necessarily like that. I mean, and defending it a little bit better, hopefully last night would have been the difference. But over the course of a 7-game series, it's going to have to be a hell of a lot better. And it really, it's not just that, too. It's the fact that the Celtics are just so much deeper. I mean, Joe Mazzulla's been using that bench a ton. I mean, even last night, Jaylen Brown only played 22 minutes last night.
Yeah, but I want to say, oh man, I was trying to count the amount of times that they were substituting.
Yeah,
and then I just fell asleep in the middle of one of those moments.
Okay,
so I think I missed it. But yeah, he only played 8 guys.
Yeah, but he can go 10 deep if he wants.
If he wants, he didn't have to do that last night. But I don't know. I feel better like you do. I think we all feel better that it was closer and it wasn't another blowout and the Knicks kind of hung in there, took the lead, had the lead, blew it themselves by either fouling on a three-point play or not fouling at the right time. And OG Anunoby took accountability after the game last night, so that was fine. But I did, you know, there it's going to come down to defending the three-point shot because they have better three-point shooters than the Knicks do.
Yeah, absolutely. And that Pritchard is just you could just tell he's he's just that thorn in the side everywhere, whether he's hitting threes or he's finding himself wide open under the basket because he's slippery and you lose track of him. I mean, he's just one of those annoying players that is just so good
You know what he
at
is?
what he does.
He's their Dante DiVincenzo is what he is.
Yeah, not quite as tough, but yeah, not the same type of attitude, but certainly
Opposing teams hate guys like that.
Yeah, 100%. But you know, and I like the fact that this game gave us a little bit of a different feel as far as the blowout goes. But you know, it's the capabilities. Like, can you get better defensively? And then you get Karl Anthony Towns who comes out. He has 22 points in the first half, and then the adjustments are made by the Celtics. And then he's barely visible in the third quarter.
Well, I kind of felt like the beginning of the third quarter was, like Boston kind of reasserted itself, and you could tell.
Yeah.
Defensively, they reasserted themselves, and the Knicks were missing shots.
Yeah, I mean, so if you look at it on paper, and it's not, you can't be overly pissed off that the Knicks aren't as good as the Celtics. They're the defending champs, and they're really, really good. But the Celtics are better three-point shooter. They're deeper. They play better defense, and they've already won a championship.
And they've played together. They've played together for 3 or 4 years now.
I mean, that's a tough one to overcome in a second round series.
It's going to be a tall hill to climb, as they say.
Yeah.
But again, I'm still encouraged by what I saw last night. And the reason it felt like a really competitive basketball game that really has nothing to do with anything in terms of the standings.
No.
It just felt like a really competitive basketball game, like the Knicks really wanted to compete and try to beat the Celtics at least once this year in the regular season.
Well, that's the other side of the coin if you want to look at it that way. I think we're looking more glass half full than glass half empty, but if you want to look at the other side, it's like, okay, this is the first time the Knicks were healthy. It clearly meant something to them to try to win this game because they haven't beaten good teams. They haven't beaten the Celtics this year. They have them on the ropes, and they still lost. That could be a way that you look at it. I'm not choosing to look at it that way. Because if Jason Tatum doesn't he's one of the best players in the NBA.
He is. He
made a superstar play to tie the game.
I swear to God, he and Jaylen Brown both are the most underappreciated. I don't say underrated because the people within the NBA know just how good they are. But from a standpoint of like the fans of the NBA, I don't know where they would list them in the top 10 players in the league. For some reason, Jason Tatum, is he going to get any MVP votes? No. Does he play on the Olympic team? No. I mean, it's like this guy just continually goes out there and hits big shot after big shot. And if you're watching the Celtics, which I don't unless they're playing the Knicks, and when I do see them on national TV, he's always front and center, always hitting those three-pointers, always hitting big shots. He's always got the ball in his hands. And he's got to be, those two guys in particular have to be two of the most underappreciated. And Jaylen Brown's playing hurt.
Yeah.
He's got a knee, and those guys were talking about it last night, that he's going to have to take it all the way through the rest of the regular season. I don't know if they'll give him a breather or not. And he's going to have to play through it through the playoffs. That's how significant whatever he's dealing with is.
Yeah, which, I mean, you never root for an injury, but if that is something that is hampering him a little bit, that might be able to equalize this series a little bit more. But I'm not expecting him to play 22 minutes a night in the playoffs. I'm just, what they're doing here is they're getting him out there. They're making sure that, they give him some time in each one of these regular season games that are left, a handful, and then you're going to see him get a full complement of minutes in the playoffs, unless they're blowing out whatever team they end up facing in the first round. Then you'll see him on the bench at that point. But I'm not thinking that's going to hamper them too much. I mean, they're and the fact, I mean, Porzingis, what was he, 8 of 13 from three last night?
Isn't it amazing? Like we get him when he's 18 years old and he's like brittle. And he has been
He had a
brittle.
bad attitude too.
Right. He's been brittle for his career, but now he's a man.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the guy that I think that when the Knicks fans or when the Knicks drafted him, this is the guy that he was supposed to turn into.
I know. I'm trying not to do that.
What is that, like 10 years ago now?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, we're talking 2015.
Yeah, 10 years ago. Is that ridiculous or what?
Yeah, I know. It is. It is wild.
He is 29 years old right now, and he was drafted. Yeah, the fourth pick in the 2015 draft. I mean, this is the thing. Like, you have to, when you draft kids that young, especially international kids, eventually there's going to be a growing or a learning curve and then growing pains within that learning curve. And you just never know when that person's going to find their way. And, whether it be with the Mavericks or now whether it be with the Celtics. And Celtics, now we see the finished product.
Yeah, and I'm trying not to do that, like, of course, woe is me, sports fan thing. But, part of me does say, like, yeah, all right, the Knicks get this good. And, of course, the one team that they're not going to be able to get past has Kristaps Porzingis in his prime drilling threes over him. Of course.
Yeah.
When you get back-to-back 50-win seasons and they get a 3 seed and they're one of the better teams in the league. Of course. Here's Kristaps Porzingis going 8 of 13 on them from 3 and being a major factor on the best team in the East.
It's going to be like the Rangers and the Kraken next year in the Stanley Cup final. And Capo Caco's going to have like 8 goals.
Rangers, Kraken. Hey, I mean, you'd sign for that right now, wouldn't you?
Oh, God. I mean, there is it's going to be harsh the next couple of nights at Madison Square Garden for the Rangers, boy. Oof.
It's a woof spot?
It's a woof spot, man. It is like people are ticked. And I don't, they've had 3 years of over 100 points, 3 straight years over 100 points, which is great hockey. And they've given us great hockey. They've given us great memories. They've given us opportunities. They've given us agita. They've given us, so many great memories. And now this year comes this flatlining year for whatever reason. And it all started last year after the playoffs were over. They started with the whole noise, and the fan base started with the noise around Jacob Trouba. Then they traded Barclay Goodrow. Then they had to sign Shesterkin to this huge contract. They had to manipulate the cap. They had to move guys in and out of here. And it's been a revolving door. And that's no way to try to recreate what you had the year before or the year before that or even the year before that. They were on a 3-year pretty good run there. They were one of the best teams in the league. But they fell short. And now here we go again. Now it's like, it's this guy's fault. It's that guy's fault. We got to get rid of this guy. We got to get rid of that guy. And it's very close to being starting all over again.
Yeah, well, at least the Garden will have playoff games and playoff basketball games, at least one round of them. We expect 2 rounds of them. And the team that we saw last night a little bit better equipped to at least give the Celtics a challenge. I mean, it's tough, man. In the NBA, it's difficult. Like the last time, that the Knicks had a team that was winning 50 games and was good in the regular season was the Carmelo team, and then you never felt like they had a real shot because it was right in the middle of the LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh run in Miami. I don't want to feel the same way about this team. I don't right now, not quite there. But if they end up losing in 4 or 5 to the Celtics in the second round of the postseason, then I am going to feel that way. Then I'm going to say, all right, well, what the hell do you do now? Because you waited. You made all the deals, the Anunoby deal, and then obviously the Karl Anthony Towns deal, the Mikal Bridges deal, all the first-round picks. You were sitting on them and then said, now we got to strike. These are the guys that we're going to put together and go for this thing. So those assets aren't there any longer. So it has to be supplemental pieces to fix it if they don't get over the hump this year. But these are your guys. I mean, these are your guys
for at least the next 3 years.
Yeah. So got to figure it out. I mean, it's Jalen Brunson, it's OG Anunoby, it's Karl Anthony Towns with big money. Obviously, it's Josh Hart. And we talk so much about. Do you have the box score in front of you? How many minutes total did Mitchell Robinson play?
He played 16.
I mean.
What?
He's been back long enough now to get a little bit more action than that. No.
He also came down on his foot and ankle last night. I don't know if they just took him out just to be careful to make sure he was okay.
Guys, I'm made out of balsa wood. I'm telling you, I can't. We've talked so much about this guy coming back. This is all I ever say.
And they've been better defensively with him back.
They
have been.
I better see his ass out there with double those minutes, doing some major damage defensively in the postseason.
When they get to the postseason, that's when they're going to have to rely a hell of a lot more on him, and at least 22 to 25 minutes. That's what I would think.
Impactful minutes is what I mean.
The difference is his impact is on defense, as where I know Porzingis starts for the Celtics, but Porzingis' impact is not on the boards. It's just standing out there bombing 3-pointers.
Yep.
I mean, he was like 8 for 13 last night.
8 for 13.
And I think the Celtics had 8 more 3-point shots than the Knicks did in terms of making those shots. There you go. And the Knicks, they get rebounds. They hustle. They tried to play defense last night. A couple of just critical errors in crunch time. Critical.
That's the difference.
And that's where, if they're going to beat the Celtics, when that crunch time comes around in those playoff games, that's where they have to take care of the ball. They have to hit the key shots, and they have to understand when to foul and when not to foul. And like I said, OG Anunoby took accountability after the game, saying he knew he had to foul Jason Tatum there at the end. I mean, staying up and watching this thing and then having that result
sucks.
Sucks.